There we go. Sorry, Facebook's being Facebook, and they're wondering why people are deleting Instagram more than any other app right now, which is also, you can look that one up, believe it or not. Instagram is the number one deleted app right now on the internet. So, Facebook also seems to be, it enjoys to cause trouble. Let's put it that way. Hey everybody, Sassy Biggons here. If you like any of the content, like, subscribe, and I will try to make more content. I thought today that I should just riff, and that's just based on everything that we all hold dear to our hearts, which is based in money, poverty, and how bad it is or can get for us. Or just this feeling that I swear the government's trying to turn us all into beggars, and being proud Americans, I don't think most of us are okay with that. Most of us. This was all started, I mean, obviously, with the current political administration still being in power, they have done nothing effectively to help anybody anywhere at any time. They're good at making smoke and no fire. Now, I don't really care necessarily to get too political, but when somebody starts messing with your paycheck or how much you're allowed to keep out of your paycheck, you start to get angry. You start to pay attention. You start to have opinions. Very, very strong opinions. Because they're messing with the very air you breathe at that point, and you want to be able to do something about it, while at the same time, we do live in a world where violence isn't always encouraged unless you want to start a war so you can launder money more easily for your political party. It seems. Because to truly be nonviolent, you'd also have to be anti-war, and so many people don't know the difference between the two. And it's like, yeah, it's not really about the war. It's, about using your sons and daughters to help the government wash money and poke a stick at Russia and basically make money off of suffering. And economics at this point in history is just a history of more suffering on purpose to all varying degrees. Now, some people, yeah, you have a problem balancing your food budget every week, but you can still balance it, and it's just very tight. And, some weeks you just don't eat meat. Other weeks you just don't eat Little Debbie's because you have to have a very carefully selected amount of groceries, because not everyone, like, we don't want to be on food stamps. Let's put it that way. Nobody necessarily wants to be on food stamps, because if we did, we also would be going back to socialism. I swear, a lot of these ways or things that make the whole society poorer is a way, or it's a tool to help encourage socialism to be more of our daily lives. Like, we're not supposed to notice that it's creeping up on us. It's like, I drive a car, my eyes work. I'm not blind. It's like, we see you. But they're still doing it like we can't see them. And then, of course, they want the newest thing in the news is that, which they greatly, I think they misquoted, was that Britain thinks that it can hold United States citizens accountable for what they consider hate speech on social media. That's not exactly what the guy said. He was having a more general term of holding people on the internet accountable, but since he did not say which specific people, they assumed the United States, who can criticize Britain while its own citizens cannot without 6 to 12-month stints in jail. Because they are locking up their own people for memes and opinions, which is another way of leading your country to poverty and creating dissent and lowering standards of everything, to be honest. But it's like, There's that scene from Oliver of more, please, more, for more gruel. And they've already decimated the monetary system. They just keep printing and printing more money. So they keep giving us more and more. But at the same time, the interest rate on that money is really, really high. And it's at this point supposedly more than the cost of the military. You need to get rid of the Federal Reserve. Just saying. Take our lives back. Get the money based on something other than manual labor. Because that's what our money is based on. It's based on the sweat of every one of our brows. And then they just keep printing more and more and more of it, watering down its worth. It's like, do you want your dollar to be worth 2 days of labor or 1 day of labor? We all know the answer to that question. And then, of course, you have those who want to work and those who get away without working. Of course, it just pisses off the rest of us. I mean, I'm not against charitable giving. I will give food, I will give blankets, I will give shoes off my own feet, but I will not give money. I will not, in no uncertain terms, give anybody anywhere money. Like if they say they need a bus pass, I'll pay for the bus pass. It's $3. Not giving them money. So if it happens to expire before they need it, not my problem. They said when they needed it. Not my fault they couldn't resell it before the time expired. They should have just not, been honest, whichever. Or the increased sightings now of people begging on the side of the road with signs. Now in Texas, the only place we ever see that allowed is in the ghetto or the poorer areas. It's the only place we see it. And then I saw on Facebook an old friend. Now this is way up in the boonies of a New England state. Like these are towns that have like maybe 1,000 people in them, maybe 2,000 if you push them. Way up in the boonies. Like his main income is plowing snow. That type of basic level of living. They now have people begging for the first time ever in that community at the local food store. And when he posted these beggars and he described the whole situation, he's like, don't rip me a new one. I offered them jobs because he does. He pays people to shovel snow. He pays people to do landscaping. He pays people to push a lawnmower. It's honest work. And they didn't want the job. They didn't want any part of it. And rumor is they live in walking distance at some decent apartments. And it's also halfway in between their apartment and begging at the food store. There's a liquor store. And this is the first time in that little town that they've ever had people like that living there. Everyone else said they got their money the honest way. They got it from the government. They got their food stamps. They got their handouts. Because the only other crime per se related to money up there that I've ever seen is embezzling money from churches. Yes, it was the pastors. Yes, all their wives were on food stamps. So it's like, how much lower can we go? How much as a society? How much more often? Like, we all can't beg from each other. We all can't panhandle from each other. Or can we? So if I write a sign, should I do calligraphy? It says cash is good on hard times. Everyone's on hard times. What's the difference? In some ways, I do truly take this very, very seriously as a sign of our times, the destruction of society, just the crumbling of our economic structure, uh, all these really big words that a lot of, smart people would say. But at the same time, to use my more colloquial language, somebody's effing with happy and I don't like it. You're not supposed to F with happy. And when the Richie Riches start effing with happy, something's got to go down. Something's got to change. It's probably why Trump was so popular. He brought the financial changes that we all knew had to happen. And it's like the other party doesn't even acknowledge that these things have to happen, or you can't stay in power if you don't actually do what you say you're going to do and give to the people who elected you. There has to be a reward system. And when voting is no longer a reward system for who you voted for, maybe you're part of the problem and not the solution. How many more people? I mean, obviously Haltom City is the closest to what I call homelessville, where it's where they keep them all together in one spot, is down that side. So finding a lot of homeless people begging is not uncommon. But when they start moving north, that's when all the grannies start calling the police and saying, someone's trespassing, someone's loitering, and all those other petty little things that you can be written a ticket for or thrown in jail for a day. What was it? Loitering, trespassing, and jaywalking. That's another one. Jaywalking. Just more stupid shit to control people with if you don't like them around where you are. And that's just a way to do it. But in some ways, the devil shouldn't have so much fun, Because usually the number one culprit, if you think about it long enough, is how much fun is the devil having at our expense? How much misery? It's like if we are all together signified as Job. And we all know, like Job, he would never turn his back on God. And at this point, he was sitting in sackcloth and ashes, scraping the boils on his body with a clay shard piece, and just sitting in absolute misery before God said, enough. And depending on how you feel about end time prophecies or how much you've researched it, or even if you believe that there won't be an end times, who knows? Maybe your religion doesn't go that way. But it usually has to get worse before it can get better, because when it comes to our ability to learn from our mistakes as a human species, damn, we're stupid. Damn, we are stupid. But at least we're predictable. And this is where we get into how, what I usually say is that humans are repetitiously repetitious, and because of that, they're consistently boring. Because if you can measure their laziness, you always know what they're going to do. And if you always know what they're going to do, damn, they're boring. Damn, they're predictable. And then that's when I start feeling sorry for God. It's like, well, why would you feel sorry for God? Because we were created and made to share this journey of life with our Creator. We were made for, what they call it, not Festivus, that's something different. To commune with our Creator, to share, to give, to walk with our Creator. But if we're that boring and there's millions of us, how are we bringing God glory? How are we bringing joy to Him? Or is the glory and the sharing and the happiness one direction? I thought relationships were two direction. But that's just my mental banter that I always have going back and forth. I'm pretty sure God doesn't want us on the side of the road. There's a sign that says anything will help. However, I do believe that if the devil had a choice, he'd be for all of it. He'd be, yep, Screw you. Famine, disease, repeat. Famine, disease, repeat until the end of eternity. So if you have any comments or opinions on any of this and you happen to be watching the replay, I stalk all my accounts usually. I mean, it's rare I don't get a notification of some kind. So comment, participate. There's no trophies for participation, but you do get some kind of recognition usually, whether it's a heart, a thumbs up, or even a reply. And try to know that I do try to answer as directly and honestly as possible, but I do have a dry sense of humor, so I might be sarcastic. I'm good at sarcasm. And sometimes sarcasm doesn't translate in typing. So if you're ever question it, let me know, because sometimes I've gotten to the point where if I comment on something, I will put in parentheses sarcasm next to it. Especially on Twitter, I'm very sarcastic, especially if a politician does something stupid. It's like, well, why didn't I try that first? Because I'm not stupid. But at the same time, I'm not sure if I'd be smart or wise to run for office. I don't know anybody who would support that. I mean, it shouldn't be that difficult to just don't harm your neighbors, contribute to society, contribute as best you can with what you have, and try to do no harm as best as you know how. But yes, like, share, subscribe, leave a comment if you have any opinions on. There is a lot more begging, it seems, on sides of roads now in our society, and it's going rural in places where it's never been before. And as far as trusting leaders of any country, that might be slightly jeopardizing to your physical and mental health. But yes, have a good one, y'all. Let me know if this was of any interest, because Lord knows I can talk until the cows come home. Have a good one.